Dr. Zhang Peng is here from Georgia Tech. He teaches in the School of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences to help us make sense of this 4.1 magnitude quake that many of us felt in Atlanta this morning. Dr. Peng, what can you tell us about the strength and depth of that earthquake?
Right. So as you already know, that the event occurred about 9 o'clock in this morning. So far, the magnitude is about 4.1, and it was probably near the border between, like near the eastern edge of Tennessee. And currently, the estimation of the depths is about 25 kilometers. Of course, those numbers may be updated later by additional analysis, but that's what we know so far.
Were you able to detect the earthquake on sensors in the Atlanta area?
Yes, we actually have quite a few sensors, and of course, when the event happens, we check on the sensors, including one in my home. Actually, we actually record the event pretty clearly.
So, with a magnitude 4.1, would you expect aftershocks for something like this, and would we be able to feel them in North Georgia, considering this was 100 plus miles away in Greenback, Tennessee?
That's right. Yeah. So with magnitudes, of this size, we typically would expect some aftershocks to occur. I just checked, and so far we haven't seen any aftershocks yet. But that does not mean that there were no aftershocks. And so some of them may pop up later. Of course, most of them will be smaller than the main event. And again, depending on the size. So I would say if it's roughly between magnitude 2 and 3, and if you're close to the border with Tennessee. In Georgia, you may feel the shaking, but of course, most time the shaking is barely above the detection threshold. So even, for example, in this case, I was actually in the morning, I did not feel even the event, even though my family member did feel the event.
Different from person to person and place to place. Is there a reason why we feel earthquakes easier though on the East Coast?
Oh yes, that's an excellent question. So compare with, for example, places like California or West Coast. Here in the East Coast, our rocks are much older, and in that case, they are more competent. So like whenever there is a seismic event of, let's say, magnitude 4 event, you on the West Coast you probably only can feel within 50 miles, and here in the East Coast, because the wave doesn't attenuate as much, so they can propagate much further distance. That's part of the reason why, like many people in Atlanta, feel the shaking of this event.
So this earthquake in Greenback, Tennessee, for folks unfamiliar with the area, it's close to Athens, Tennessee, kind of between Knoxville and Chattanooga. Is this an area known for more earthquake activity?
Exactly. So this event is probably on the eastern side of the so-called Eastern Tennessee seismic zone. It is a very diffuse seismic zone that extended, along the border for several states for almost up to about 200 miles, and the width is about 50 or 70 miles or so. And this region is well known to have small to moderate sized earthquake. And one of the events that we studied a few years ago was in 2018. That was a magnitude 4.4. It also occurred not far from today's epicenter.
So a 4.4 back in 2018, at least a 4.1 today. How frequent are earthquakes of this size, of this magnitude in that area?
Great question. So again, fortunately, event like this doesn't occur quite often. Based on, for example, what has happened in the past 10, 20 years, I would say typically on the order of a few years, let's say 5, 6 years. In the broader region, you would experience, let's say, magnitude 4 and above event. But they do not occur, apparently, or fortunately, they do not occur in the same region. They actually occur quite far distances. So we still don't know why. That's a good question, is why we have earthquake in that region. We know that this region used to be like an ancient suture or boundary, but that was like almost 100 or 200 million years. So for whatever reason, there are some ancient fault structure that was reactivated, and that's the question we're still trying to figure out, is what caused those faults to re-weaken.
I know you've done a ton of research on this topic in your time at Georgia Tech. Is there anything else you think people should know around Metro Atlanta regarding this earthquake from early this morning?
Right. So I would say, for folks, here in Atlanta, I don't think we should be concerned too much about it, because again, the epicenter is 150 miles away from us. And if I think the chance is very unlikely, if there is a larger event, I think obviously will be felt in a wider region. The key message for everybody is, do not panic, and you should practice drop, cover and hold on. That is, if the shaking is pretty strong, you should hide under the table or somewhere that is sturdy. So instead of like running out or doing things that you should wait until the shaking is over, and in case something like very strongly happens. But otherwise, I don't think people should be concerned too much, at least in Metro Atlanta region.
Dr. Pang, professor of geophysics at Georgia Institute of Technology, thank you for your time this morning.